Gautam, your trusted marketing advisor. Now, this video I want to introduce to a client of mine and a very good friend, Len Watt, and who is a trusted legal advisor in building and construction industry, and all about specializing in property law. And welcome to the show, Len. Great to have you, mate.
Hey, Robin, how are you? Thank you very much.
It's great to have you. I'm really excited to know a little bit about your journey and how you have started this business, Becker Watt, and number of the business, mate. So, and I was just reading the bio, obviously, and obviously 25 years of experience. Wow, that's quite a long time, mate.
25 years in the building industry. Yeah, I actually left high school at the end of year 11 here in Queensland.
Right.
I became an apprentice carpenter, of all things. So I went through.
Really?
I did my I completed an apprenticeship as a carpenter. So I spent 4 years working for. I actually was apprenticed to what was called the Public Works and Housing Department, which is now called Q-Build. So I was apprentice, and I worked sort of around Bundaberg, and for anyone who knows the areas in Bundaberg, and sort of inland towards Gayndah and Monto and up into Gladstone.
Right.
Yeah, all over the place. Yeah.
Wow.
So
definitely someone like you started the career working life in building industry, but this such a long time, right? Wow.
Yeah, that I finished that apprenticeship, believe it or not, in 1984.
Yes.
So from there, I went out and sort of started working in the building industry, and so just as a carpenter, as a young tradesman, working sort of wherever I could find work as young tradesmen do. And I was I really enjoyed it in those days. I was a lot younger, a lot fitter, and
that was in 1994, around that time.
80.
Wow.
Yeah, 1984. So that's when I finished, and then I went into the Navy for a period of time, and then when I got out of the Navy, I was in Sydney, and I got a job working for a good mate of mine at the time, who was doing fit outs in office, high-rise office buildings in Sydney. And so I worked on a number of high-rise, doing partition walls and ceilings and office fit out, all over the CBD, and a little bit of work down in Wollongong and Campbelltown. So I did that for a number of years. Right.
So after Navy, you joined straight away on the fit outs,
Yeah. I actually the guy I worked for was actually a friend of mine at the time, and I finished the Navy on Friday, and Monday I started working for him, and I worked for him for a couple of years. And then I decided I was too precious to work on the tools, and I started to look for jobs in an office. Yeah.
Right. And that's where you started working on the residential as well as residentials, isn't it? And that's where I think you were working back in Clareton Homes, or around.
Well, that in itself is I suppose there's always a story to everything, but I first got a job with a company called Michael Hull Designer Homes, which had an office like in Blacktown, and I went back to TAFE, and I was doing what would now be called like a Cert 4 in building.
Cert 4,
and one of the which I have, strange enough, but one of the guys that I was doing that with was a guy by the name of Neil Smart, who these days is the construction manager for Clarendon in New South Wales. And he was working for Clarendon at that point in time, and he got me an introduction, and I got a job there going from Michael Hull Homes to work for Clarendon as an estimator. So that was that was the early 90s, I think. Yeah.
Wow. So you always been in the industry, obviously, building and construction. That's where
Yep.
That's
Yep. Yep.
where your niche market, obviously the firm, you have got a number of the legal teams work on different, but you still focused on the building construction. It's so evolving, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, and it is, and I suppose I'm lucky in some respects that I have, a background in sort of, putting up frames and working out how much it costs and doing those types of things, and talking to people on sites and talking to business owners who are subcontractors about how much they want to, charge for the work that they're doing. I've been doing that since I was in my mid-20s, late 20s. I sort of have been, I was lucky when I went to Clarendon. The head estimator there used to say to us, if you don't know you don't know everything about every trade, you can't possibly. So pick up the phone and ask the guy, So I'd pick up the phone and talk to the plumber. I'd pick up the phone and talk to the electrician, and you learn so much, and you build a bit of a relationship as well. So yeah.
Now, what a humble beginning, man. And I certainly, I must, if I can, with your permission, I must say, when we met about now, 6-7 months now, almost a year, when we met there, I was like, when you introduced, I needed help on the marketing, on the legal side. And when we met, and then, I was little after we finished the call, obviously I was sharing with my wife, Anisha. I was saying, look, really is Len's a lawyer, and he's a principal lawyer. He runs a number of the offices in interstates and everywhere, and in Brisbane, and really. But the whole point, what I'm trying to say, is a very layman, so anyone can understand very, very easily. And that's the beauty what I picked up. And it's because when you talk with the lawyers, that just comes with so much section this, section 32, section whatever it might be. Is like so confusing, and like for a layman people, general people, it's so hard to understand. But with your beginning, I think that would have helped you so much, isn't it?
It does. I think that it gives me, I think, an understanding of where a lot of my clients are coming from. So I'm sort of able to, I hope, value add to their business and their position by having that fundamental understanding of their of their shoes. But I'll often say to the builders I work with, look, I'm not going to even begin to try and compete with you on your technical knowledge, because I never was a technical building guy, but I know the building industry. That's why I was always more interested in the contractual side of things, and the documentation and stuff, which is why I probably ended up where I am now.
Spot on, mate. I think that's where the difference between just as a lawyer or any technical persons, or being as a business owner, being that hat. And I share all the time, when people they meet with me, and when they talk about the background, and I normally I wouldn't say, I'm an engineer, or, I have done this computer engineering. But when we talk about layman wise, and when we help, and people say, oh, really? I never thought that you do this in technology. That's pretty cool. So again, what we are saying is client focus, understanding what clients is all about. I think
for sure. Look, and I have a great affection for the building industry. It's where I started. I've been a member. I still sort of consider myself, to a certain extent, to be a member of the building industry, although not being, I'm a member of the HIA. I'm a member of the Master Builders. But I've been associated with this industry since I was 16. It means a lot to me. It always has.
Wow.
So I'm. My wife reminded me today I'm 57 this year. So like that's going on to 40 years that I've been in one way or another associated with the industry. And we were talking about Clarendon before. I suppose I loved my time with Clarendon, but after that, I got an opportunity to move into commercial work and work for a name that a lot of people know, Meriton Apartments.
Really? Wow. So tell me about that.
I went to work. I worked for Harry for a while. I suppose, yeah, anybody who is familiar will know him as Harry because, you know,
Yes.
but he's a strange but, you know, compelling character, Harry. He makes bizarre decisions that seem to come off, but he's probably the smartest man I think I've ever met in my life. He can retain so much information and just control so many things. But I mean, I was lucky because he didn't quite understand the role that I performed at Clarendon, and in a way he gave me a chance, which I took, and I really enjoyed it. I learnt about commercial building. I learnt, you know, about high rise and jump forms and concrete, you know, formwork and you know, all sorts of things that you don't even consider in residential, you know, construction. You know, dealing with consultants, working out, you know, hydraulic details, working out, you know, all the bits and pieces that need to go. Where do you put your crane so that you can maximise its usage? You know, how much does a you know, a precast panel weigh? You know, how do you make sure that the
very technical?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, still, again, I never worked on the tools in high rise, but I worked in the construction, you know, the contractual sort of side of things. Yeah.
Understand. Now, I can certainly see, the point of difference between, you know, just the other hiring the normal lawyers or hiring someone who specializes in building construction, and obviously, your your legal firms provide the whole suite of legal services. But it's quite amazing that, you know, you and your team just specialize on that for like such a long time in building construction. So definitely, man, we're really excited and with what we are doing and collaborating and
I'm
generating
enjoying
and generating some you know, serious business here. So those viewers obviously who are watching right now this, and if they are from obviously from Queensland, you know, you have got a number of offices, and obviously you guys are physically as well in Victoria and New South Wales. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yes. I mean, obviously difficult for me to be in New South Wales and Victoria right at the moment, but yeah, we have an office in Melbourne, and we have an office in Sydney, office at Parramatta, and one at St Kilda. So yeah.
Great. That's great. So what would be, if some of the viewers are watching from New South Wales and Victoria, what would you suggest where to, if they are looking really, if they're struggling with this property law, they have issues, disputes in building and constructions, whether that may be residential or commercial, what would you suggest, Len?
Well, look, we have a 1300 at legal number, which they can call, and effectively what we would do then is we would set up an initial consultation with them, so that we would effectively, you know, right now organise a Zoom meeting.
Yes. That's great.
And we would effectively, you know, gather, I suppose, information in the first instance. Try to understand what the issue is and where the client's coming from and their perspective. Then obviously, you know, we have to do what we need to do to satisfy the provisions of the Legal Services Act in each particular state, and provide you know, agreements, etc., and such forth. But then once we've done that, you know, review the documents, provide some advice initially, potentially, you know, provide a direction, I suppose, and in how to proceed. We work with quite a number of, you know, building experts per se, so, and engineers and other, you know, industry professionals, so we can help them engage appropriate people to do reports or whatever might need to be done to, for example, provide costings in you know, payment claim disputes, or provide you know, reports in relation to workmanship or defective products, or, you know, etc., and then, you know, pull all that together for them and help them then move forward. I mean, hopefully looking to try and reach some form of commercial resolution of their problem. I prefer to try and, you know, settle things before we have to go to court.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
If you can put together the documentation and understand what the problem is, you're in control of your own destiny. And if you can settle a matter before you have to go and appear before the court, you're still far more in control of your own destiny than what you are if you put your life and your business in the hands of somebody else. So yeah,
That's great advice, mate. That's a great advice. Always about mitigating that risk, isn't it? I mean, if wherever possible.
Yeah, but you really, it's important to engage with people that you can communicate with and you can trust. And I think that there has to be a level of transparency and openness on behalf of both parties. So if we're dealing with the builder, the builder needs to just sort of be prepared to let me in a little bit so that I can understand where he's coming from. And if we can do that, then we can certainly work out what we need to work out to get the best result.
Right. Now that's a great insight, Matt. That's so. If any of the viewers are watching this and they are facing some issues on a properties, residential, commercials, just give us a call at 1-300-AT-LEGAL. Yeah, that's the best number. Thank you so much, Len. Now, also anything you want to touch about? I read somewhere in the paper, there is a grant in Victoria and New South Wales. Would you like to mention?
So with the COVID situation that we have, and there are a lot of businesses out there that are struggling, and I think that probably, we are both at the coalface of that as well. Trying to juggle the businesses that we run and etc. Now in the Victorian and New South Wales governments have very wisely provided a grant that can assist the business with a particular problem relating to their business. So in relation to a legal issue, they can come to us and we'll work out what the issue is, and then they can apply for the grant and utilise that grant to help them resolve that particular issue or situation. So that's great. It's a grant to assist their business.
That's great. Thank you so much, Len. I'm sure this has given a really good value to our audience, and so I'm really excited and looking forward to our collaboration ahead. So this would be pretty good. And anything you want to add up before we finish this conversation, Len?
Look, I suppose the only thing I would add is that I feel that we can best assist our clients when we are actually actively working with them and almost like as a consultant, as opposed to an outsider. Like it's far easier to be able to pick up the threads of where you're at because of the shared history and the relationship that you've developed, and then be able to just quickly get into step and help solve a problem. I know that sometimes lawyers have a little bit of I suppose a reputation, but I hope that we go I can go some way towards dispelling that and sort of reassure any of my clients that I look to work with them and get the best possible solution for them.
That's great, Matt. Definitely highly recommended what you guys are doing. There's no doubt in it, mate. Thank you so much for your time, Len.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And by the way, if you're watching this, if you're really some problems or your friends and families are facing some problems on property law, residential, commercial, you know where to go. Just dial 1-300-AT-LEGAL. Thanks, Len.
Great to have you, mate. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Cheers. Yes.